It's Thursday, January 5. In the headlines, in local news, JCF members charged to take a solution-driven approach into the new year. In business news, diesel gas prices are up. Regionally, Bahamas reporting new Omicron COVID-19 variant. Internationally, massive attack against the Ukraine as Russia fires over 120 missiles on major Ukraine cities. And in sports, thousands of fans excited as Ronaldo unveiled at Al Nassr. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Maya Chung. Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson has charged members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force to approach the new year with optimism and a solution-driven approach. The commissioner said the JCF is a good force and only getting better. We have more on this from Carla Thomas-Hewitt.
The commissioner gave the charge while addressing the JCF's annual devotion held on the lawns of the commissioner's office in St. Andrew on Tuesday, January 3, under the theme, Relentless Pursuit of Excellence, a Force for Good. The commissioner said that he was recommending that all JCF members, individually and collectively, have the mindset that says the force has the solutions, the opportunities, and are blessed to be in the force. He says if law enforcement follows this advice, the benefits will be clearly evident. According to the police chief, he expects great results in crime fighting in 2023. The commissioner said many of the plans that were delayed for the force due to the COVID-19 pandemic have started to materialize and will continue into 2023. He said that the JCF has staff that are committed, optimistic, and those that are getting a greater understanding of their own ability to influence what is around them. Major General Anderson thanked the members for the work they did in the past year and the work they will continue to do going forward. He said the force continues to grow from strength to strength. For the news on PBCJ, I am Carla Thomas-Hewitt.
The government will be pursuing a direct and deliberate program in partnership with the church to provide robust intervention that supports mental health in the population. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement during the Heal the Family, Heal the Nation conference held at the National Arena in Kingston on Wednesday, January 4, 2023. Prime Minister Holness said that Jamaica needs to start a public education campaign, not just from government, not just from the Ministry of Health, but also from churches and other organizations and entities to get Jamaicans to change this culture of not trying to seek help when they are in a crisis. Mr. Holness said whilst not referencing anyone as, quote, mad, which literally has a different connotation in Jamaica, he's certain sometimes even the leader of the opposition has mental health challenges. The PM said sometimes you wake up and you're just angry. Mr. Holness argued that the partnership will be beneficial because pastors are well trained to assist with various types of issues. Paternity leave with pay for fathers of newborns in the public sector and adoption leave for parents adopting and bringing a new child into the home are now in effect. These leave entitlements for the public sector workers took effect on January 1, 2023. Both categories will be entitled to 20 working days leave with pay. The increase of paid maternity leave from 40 days to a period of 60 working days with pay is also now in effect. The changes are the result of the current public sector compensation review, which is intended to overhaul the structure of salaries and other emoluments in the public service. Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, had announced the changes in July 2022, which are being facilitated by updating the public sector staff orders of 2004. In the meantime, the National Works Agency is announcing the indefinite closure of the Jones River Bridge. Effective immediately, the main road between Ginger Hill and Fort Potts in St. Elizabeth is closed. The corridor has been closed by the National Works Agency due to a failure in one of the abutments of the Jones River Bridge. The bridge is located just outside of Ginger Hill Square. The road is a major link to several communities in St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, and St. James, including Wyas, Washfoot Gully, Orange River, and sections of the Pisgah community. Manager of Communications and Customer Service at the NWA, Stephen Shaw, says that the agency's technical team carried out a routine inspection of the bridge structure and found it to be severely compromised, hence the order for it to be closed. Resulting from the closure of the bridge, motorists wishing to travel from the direction of St. James towards the Wyas Falls are being diverted along the main road through the communities of Pisgah, Springfield, and Fort Potts. The reverse will obtain for those motorists wishing to travel to sections of Ginger Hill, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, and St. James. Mr. Shaw says that the NWA recognizes that some work will have to be done on the alternative route and is now in the process of putting together an estimate for repairs. When complete, the estimate will be sent to the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation for funding support. In the meantime, motorists are being advised to exercise caution in using the corridors. And it's now time for the business report with Danita Rodney.
Motorists should see an increase at the pumps in the price of gasoline effective Thursday, January 5, according to the latest ex-refinery cost from Petrojam. Up by 25 cents, 87-octane gasoline will sell for $163.41 per liter. 90-octane gasoline will sell for $167.39 per liter. Continuing with the 25 cents increase, automotive diesel fuel will sell for $208.84 per liter and ultra-low sulfur diesel for $216.77. Kerosene will see a $4.50 increase and sell for $211.95 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum will sell for $60.93 per liter, up by $2, and butane liquid petroleum for $69.02 per liter, after an increase of $2.36. Remember that marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markups to these prices. On Wednesday, January 5, the Bank of Jamaica BOJ announced the successful onboarding of JN Bank Limited as the second financial institution to receive up to $1 million worth of Jamdex digital currency. In a press release, BOJ says the distribution of Jamdex through the JN wallet to make and receive payments is scheduled to commence this year. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, January 4, the US dollar sold for an average of $152.84. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $112.56. The pound sterling traded for $183.70, and the euro sold for an average of $161.73. In JSE trading, the JSE index declined by 9,089 points, the junior market index declined by 47 points, the combined market index declined by 8,910 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index declined by 9,718 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 109 stocks, of which 40 advanced, 53 declined, and 16 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Access Financial Services Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Stocks declined for Barita Investments Limited, Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, and Caribbean Cement Company Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, CAC 2000 9.5% cumulative redeemable preference shares, and Siboney Group Limited. The overall volume leaders were I Create Limited ordinary shares with over 3 million units, Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with over 2 million units, and One-on-One Educational Services Limited with over 1 million units. In regional stocks, on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, 0 securities traded. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Insurance Corporation of Barbados Limited was the volume leader with 20,000 shares. They were followed by Epley Caribbean Property Fund Value Fund and the First Caribbean International Bank, which traded 144 and 45 shares respectively. In regional business, another staple in Barbados' agriculture setup is Cardiff to get underway on February 24, and CEO of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, says AgriFest 2023 has to be part of a wider campaign that will have a greater economic impact.
We want to have projects emanating or coming out of our AgriFest that will have a greater economic impact in terms of assisting to further the government's goals as far as trying to improve production overall within the agricultural sector. But certainly one of the things that we have people doing agriculture is trying to do what they're doing better.
In international business, Amazon plans to lay off 18,000 people in a swift turn for the online retail giant after recently doubling its base pay ceiling to compete more aggressively for talent.
The head of Amazon says the company is upping its layoffs to more than 18,000 roles cut. That number, announced by Chief Executive Andy Jassy in a note on Wednesday, is higher than what sources told Reuters and other media reported last year. Jassy said it will largely impact the company's e-commerce and human resources organizations, and that the company will start reaching out to affected staff from January 18. The cuts amount to 6% of Amazon's roughly 300,000-person corporate workforce. It also represents a swift turn for the online retail giant after recently doubling its base pay ceiling to compete more aggressively for talent. Jassy said in the note that annual planning, quote, has been more difficult given the uncertain economy and that we've hired rapidly over the last several years. After a big pandemic boom, Amazon has braced for likely slower growth as soaring inflation encouraged businesses and consumers to cut back spending. Its share price has halved in the past year.
Alexa.
The company began letting staff go in November from its devices division, with the source telling Reuters at the time it was targeting around 10,000 cuts. Jassy said Amazon chose to disclose the news before informing affected staff because of a leak. His note on Wednesday followed a report in the Wall Street Journal that the layoffs involved more than 17,000 jobs. Amazon still must file certain legal notices about mass layoffs and says it plans to pay severance.
In market data for oil rebounded over 2% after posting the biggest two-day loss for the start of a year in 3 decades with the shutdown of a U.S. fuel pipeline. Brent crude was up $1.63 to $79.47 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude gained $1.41 to $74.25. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, a new COVID variant is spreading rapidly in some countries, putting local officials on high alert. Bahamian Infectious Diseases Program Director Dr. Nakia Forbes says early vaccine acquired in the fight against COVID may not provide as much protection. Bethany McDermott now reports.
Director of the Infectious Diseases Program, Dr. Nakia Forbes, is warning of a new Omicron COVID-19 variant called XBB.1.5. According to Dr. Forbes, researchers suggest vaccines rolled out in 2021 may not be a match for the new strain. That means you are more likely to get COVID again, even if you were infected before.
There is some lab information that that strain might be able to evade some immunity more than other strains. And when we talk about immunity, we are talking about either if you've had COVID before or if you have had, say, some of the COVID vaccines, especially those original strains of COVID-19 vaccines, that this variant is more likely to evade some of the immunity from those vaccines.
But according to Dr. Forbes, there's still a silver lining.
If you have been vaccinated, if you've had COVID before, there should be some immunity. And we are seeing that even though the XBB 1.5 strain is spreading, there doesn't seem to be an increase in hospitalizations.
The new variant has been identified in about 70 countries and is causing a surge in some areas. In late December, the XBB 1.5 variant accounted for 40% of cases in the United States, according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control. Currently, Dr. Forbes says there's no data to suggest the variant is in the Bahamas. However, she reveals newer vaccines have some protection.
There's data that shows that persons who've had the newer vaccines, the Omicron vaccines, that there will be some protection against hospitalizations and deaths and even getting COVID with these newer Omicron strains.
Those vaccines are not available in the Bahamas. And if you're wondering if this new strain is more contagious, Dr. Forbes says studies are continuing. She leaves this word of advice for residents, especially when traveling.
So what we can do is we can optimize and protect ourselves as best as possible. How does that start? That, of course, starts with the public health measures. If you are sick, please stay home.
New strains of COVID-19 will always emerge. That is the response of the director of the Center for Biosecurity Studies at the UWI in Barbados, Dr. Kirk Douglas, in relation to China having so many variants and the United States now coping with a new Omicron variant themselves. Speaking on CBC's Morning Report, he notes that if testing is reintroduced at ports of entry, the categories should be expanded.
I think at the ports of entry, what they've been doing in some countries is what they deem necessary. Whether or not that will stem the flow of cases coming in, that remains another question. But there are different strategies that you can employ. You can employ testing persons, or you could actually test wastewater. For example, in some countries, what they're doing is also testing wastewater from off of aircraft and also from cruise ships as well, because you don't get a personal indicator of who has the infection, but the intent of testing is really to collect data and information of what are the current strains that are present. The vaccines will always be present. The update of the vaccine is also going to be necessary. Like I mentioned, now that COVID is transitioning into the endemic phase, and when you look at the example of influenza, every single year, the reason why they have to update the vaccine is because the influenza virus changes. And it changes because that's the inherent nature of a virus. And when you have the beginning of a new pathogen entering the human population, what you will get initially is very high mortality rates and also quick spread, because no one has immunity towards this virus. And this virus is also adapting to being circulating in humans. So over time, gradually, what you will find occurring is that virus will get less and less pathogenic.
Grenada has once again copped first place in the USA Today's 10 Best Readers' Choice Awards competition.
Grenada has once again copped many awards in the USA Today's 10 Best Readers' Choice Awards, which was announced in January of 2023. In January 2022, businesses in Grenada placed within the top 10 of the 6 categories, which included Best Caribbean Beach, Attraction, Beach Bar, Resort, Rum Distillers, and Restaurant. 10 Best Readers' Choice Awards highlights the best of the best in contests covering categories such as destinations, food and drinks, hotels, and attractions. A panel of experts chooses nominees in all categories. Readers can vote in each category once per day. This year, Grenada placed in the top 6 positions in 5 categories. Winning the category of Best Caribbean Attraction is Belmont Estate. Staff members of the Grenada Tourism Authority are in a celebratory mode with the announcement.
For Best Caribbean Restaurant, we have Punjabi at position number 6, and we have the Aquarium Restaurant at position number 9.
In the category of Best Caribbean Beach, we have the famed Grandad's Beach in number 6, and on our sister island of Carriacou, we have Paradise Beach securing the number 2 position.
In the category of Best Rum Distillery in the Caribbean, at number 6 is Clarkscourt Rum Distillery.
And in the category of Best Caribbean Beach Bar, we have none other than Esther's Bar in number 7.
For the category of Best Caribbean Attraction, we had 2 entrants. In number 10 position, we have the House of Chocolate, and drum roll, we came home with the prize in number 1 position with Belmont.
CEO of GTA, Petra Roach, says her organization and Grenada on a whole continue to show the world that the island is not just about sea and sand, but many other attractions that are worth exploring.
We are committed to ensuring that visitors, when they come here, that we don't leave money on the table, that ultimately they are getting out and experiencing everything that is brand Grenada. I really feel that we are focused on getting a repeat visitor. At the end of the day, we need to ensure that we've got new and exciting attractions that they can experience once they're here, and also that the attractions that we currently have continue to evolve so that they offer different experiences.
Caribbean statesman and current Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, on Tuesday night was conferred with the Order of Roraima, Guyana's second highest national award.
Guyana's head of state, President Dr. Ifanali, conferred the award upon the Vincentian Prime Minister at a simple ceremony held at State House in Georgetown. And according to President Ali, this award was being conferred because of Prime Minister Gonsalves' distinguished service to Guyana and the wider Caribbean.
Dr. Gonsalves is a Caribbean man, a national of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He has labored on the issue of regionalism, recognizing that our Caribbean civilization will remain stronger when we speak with one voice and act collectively. I thank him for his steadfast leadership and wise counsel. I applaud, as do all Guyana, his commitment to democracy, peace, security, and the development of the Caribbean.
In brief remarks after he received the award, the Prime Minister emphasized that Guyana and St. Vincent and the Grenadines have long shared good relations as part of his focus on a more unified Caribbean. He is currently on a 4-day visit to Guyana, but did not expect the award.
On behalf of the people of the Caribbean and the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I want to express our gratitude for this noble gesture. I shall always treasure it. Thank you, and may Almighty God continue to bless us all.
In international news, the leader of the self-declared Russian-backed separatist Donetsk People's Republic, DPR, said that he has visited troops injured in the strike on Russian barracks in the occupied Ukrainian city of Makivka.
Russia shelled Ukrainian towns across a long stretch of the front line from north to south, Ukrainian officials said on Friday, a day after Moscow fired dozens of missiles in its latest barrage against critical infrastructure. Air attack sirens blared overnight into Friday in the capital Kyiv, and there were several explosions and the sound of anti-aircraft fire south of the city as Russian troops fired on 16 Iranian-made Shahid drones, officials said. The Ukrainian military said all the drones had been destroyed. 7 had targeted Kyiv, where an administrative building was damaged, Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said. In a Friday evening statement, the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces said Russian forces had tried to advance near Bakhmut and Avdiivka, the focal points of their slow-moving campaign to take all of Donetsk region in the east. Russian forces fired on several towns and villages, including Bakhmut, Kudryamivka just to the south, nearby Soledar, and also the town of Kostiantynivka, west of Bakhmut. Russian forces also fired on Avdiivka, the nearby town of Mariinka, as well as Nevelsk, the statement said. Russian forces shelled settlements further west in Donetsk region, including the town of Volodar, it said. On the whole, we are holding our positions, President Volodymyr Zelensky said of the fighting in the east in his nightly video address on Friday. There are also some areas of the front where we are advancing a bit. The Luhansk Regional Administration said Ukrainian forces had captured the small town of Novoselivsk just inside Luhansk region, about 20 kilometers northwest of Svatov, a Ukrainian target in the region. Russian forces shelled several towns near Kupiansk in the northeast Kharkiv region recaptured by Ukraine in September, the General Staff report said, as well as settlements in Luhansk. Areas of Zaporizhia region to the south also came under Russian shelling, including the contested town of Huliapol.
Football history and also the highest paid in the sport, Ronaldo will make his club debut on Thursday. We hear more on this development from Al Jazeera.
A new era has begun for Cristiano Ronaldo. Following his high-profile split with Manchester United, the free agent has now signed one of the most lucrative deals ever with Saudi Arabia's Al Nassr. At his press conference, he didn't speak to the press and only took questions from a club official.
Welcome, Cristiano.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In Europe, my work, it's done. I won everything. I played the most important clubs in Europe. And for me now, it's a new challenge.
What are you hoping to achieve on and off the pitch in Saudi Arabia?
In Brazil, in Australia, US, even in Portugal, many clubs try to sign me, but I give the word to this club for the opportunity to develop not only the football but the other part of this amazing country.
Ronaldo's salary is the highest in football history, around $206 million a year, which boils down to $25,000 an hour, $7 every second.
He's the best player in football history, so it's normal he becomes the player with the highest salary in the world.
There's no doubting Ronaldo's commercial pulling power. Thousands turned out to welcome the five-time Ballon d'Or winner in Riyadh. Al Nassr shirts are selling around the world, and the club's Instagram account has jumped from 800,000 to 8.8 million followers in just a few days. It's a boost for Saudi Arabia's Football League, and the hope is that other big names will follow.
Who knows, maybe that we might get in Messi, maybe Zlatan Ibrahimovic, any of these players that we would normally see go towards previously China, previously Qatar, or until now to the United States of America for the MLS. They could be coming towards Saudi Arabia to play football.
Al Nassr are 9-time Saudi champions, and with Ronaldo on board, they're now surely favourites to make it 10.
Give my best, like always.
He's set to make his club debut on Thursday. David Stokes, Al Jazeera.
And that's the news on PBCJ. I am Maya Chung. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thank you for watching.